No one could have predicted it. Just a year ago, the WNBA seemed destined to continue its quiet existence in the background of American sports, a dedicated fan base, limited coverage, and modest viewership. But then Caitlin Clark arrived, and everything changed. She didn't just join the league, she reignited it. Overnight, the WNBA wasn't just a sports league anymore. It became a movement. The arrival of Clark marked a seismic shift that rippled through every layer of the organization, from ticket sales to locker room politics. From her first game, Caitlin wasn't merely putting up impressive stats. She was redefining what it meant to be a draw in women's basketball. Arenas that once struggled to fill seats were suddenly selling out weeks in advance. Fans of all ages lined up for hours, desperate to see her play, wearing jerseys with her name proudly printed across the back. The league, which once struggled for primetime coverage, became a TV powerhouse as networks like ESPN and ABC competed for broadcast rights. Every time she stepped onto the court, the numbers spiked. Viewership soared, merchandise flew off shelves, and the WNBA had its biggest cultural moment in years to almost. She was the breath of life the league had long awaited, a hero who could carry women's basketball into the mainstream. But not everyone shared that enthusiasm. For some inside the league, her sudden dominance, on and off the court, was unsettling. Behind the smiles and highlight reels, tensions began to simmer. The league's new golden star had unknowingly stumbled into something far darker than rivalry or jealousy, something that threatened to expose the cracks within the WNBA's own foundation. Rumors began to circulate that Clark had discovered something the league wanted buried, a secret that could shake its credibility. Whispers of a protected players list started making rounds, a list allegedly containing names of players who were exempt from punishment, no matter how serious their actions or violations. The league, which proudly promoted itself as fair and transparent, now faced whispers of favoritism and double standards. At the top of that rumored list was one of the WNBA's biggest stars, Brittney Griner. That's when everything changed. The story shifted from excitement to controversy. What started as a promising new era became a battlefield. Caitlin Clark was no longer just a rookie phenom. She was suddenly positioned as a threat to the league's inner workings. What the public saw as a rising star was, behind the scenes, a player taking on an entire system that, if the rumors are true, the so-called protected list was a serious breach of integrity. It allegedly included high-profile players who could break team or league rules, engage in off-court controversies, or even violate eligibility standards without facing real consequences. The league, desperate to protect its most valuable names, would reportedly turn a blind eye, afraid that suspending them would damage public image or hurt ratings. For a player like Caitlin Clark, known for her discipline, hard work, and straight-laced approach to the game, discovering this was infuriating. The league she believed in was not as fair as it appeared. Instead of walking away, Caitlin reportedly started gathering evidence, quietly documenting inconsistencies, and building a case to reveal how deep the favoritism ran. And every step she took only added fuel to the fire. At the center of it all stood Brittney Griner, a player both celebrated and criticized, someone whose name carried enormous weight within the WNBA. For some, she was a symbol of strength and resilience. For others, she represented everything wrong with how the league managed its stars. As these tensions grew, what should have remained healthy competition turned into something deeply personal. When Clark and Griner faced each other on the court, it wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about respect, truth, and a silent war playing out under the bright lights. Fans began to notice how physical their matchups had become. Elbows under the rim, subtle shoves that weren't called, and heated exchanges that went beyond the typical intensity of the game. To many watching, it seemed as though Clark wasn't just facing defenders. She was up against the officials, the system, and the unspoken hierarchy within the league. Then came the moment that pushed everything into the spotlight. Courtside spectators claimed to have heard Griner hurl verbal insults at Clark, words that crossed the line of sportsmanship. When footage of one of those moments surfaced online, it went viral. The internet exploded with debate. Fans questioned why the league wasn't taking action. Many argued that if Clark had said the same thing, she'd have faced immediate suspension. The WNBA's silence only made things worse. feeding the growing belief that certain players were untouchable. Through it all, Caitlin didn't back down. She kept her focus, continuing to play at a high level while navigating the storm. For her, this wasn't just about personal pride. It was about standing up for fairness and integrity. Every game she played became symbolic of something bigger, a fight for accountability in a league that claimed equality but may have quietly betrayed it. Now, the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Brittney Griner has become more than a headline. It's a defining storyline for the WNBA. It represents the tension between old and new, tradition and change, silence and exposure. Behind the glowing reports of record-breaking attendance and booming popularity, there's another narrative playing out, one the league desperately wishes would disappear. But as the flames continue to rise, one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark isn't just here to make history. She's here to change the game, even if it means burning down the walls that have been standing for years.